Hey, friend, you are in for something really special today. I've got a guest host taking the mic, and she's not just brilliant, she's someone that I now get to call a dear friend. Let me introduce you to Stephanie Pasniokas. She's a neuroscientist-turned-wellness coach and the founder of SJP Health and Wellness. We met just a few months ago at a retreat, and it was instant connection. You know when you just click with someone? Well, that was us. Her wisdom, warmth, and let's get real attitude is something I knew I wanted you to experience here on the Lemon Balm Coaching Podcast. So today, she is leading the conversation, and it's a powerful one about self-love after a season of giving. And don't worry, I'm not going far. Stephanie will be back with me as a guest in the next episode, and we'll dive even deeper into what she is doing. So go ahead, press play, grab your favorite cozy drink, and let this conversation fill you up in all the best ways. I guarantee you are going to love it. Welcome to the Lemon Balm Coaching Podcast, your cozy corner of the world where we'll sip on life's lessons and squeeze the most out of every moment. I'm Melissa, your coach, cheerleader, and maybe even a little bit like that mom who always has a warm hug and the best advice waiting for you. If you're a woman over 40, feeling like life's left you a little lost, aimless, or downright stuck, you're in the right place. This is where your joy, your freedom, and your purpose come back into focus. Together, we'll laugh, learn, and rediscover what makes you come alive, because it's not too late. This is your time. So grab a cup of something warm, settle in, and let's start creating the next most beautiful chapter of your life together.
But what we're talking about today is self-love after a season of giving. And this is such an important aspect of our whole health. In fact, the way we approach our self-love and caring for ourselves really feeds into our mindset in every area of our lives. I'm really about the health of our entire body, and nutrition and mindset are just two components of a larger piece of the pie. And I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm so excited to introduce Melissa. And Melissa, please just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here and what we're going to be talking about today.
Oh my goodness, a little bit about myself. I don't know. How much time do we have?
Tell us whatever you would like. We have about a half an
Okay.
hour, and we're going to just hit whatever topics we can. The idea is, we're, talking about things like, we call today self-love after a season of giving. That was what just came out of our conversation. Breaking the cycle of overgiving and burnout, reconnecting with our own voice and needs, building self-love without guilt, shame, or performance, and creating a peace-filled rhythm you can actually maintain. And I want to also reassure every woman who's watching, this doesn't mean that you're suddenly going into a season of selfishness, because that's going to just give you a knee-jerk reaction and say, I don't want to be that person. Good, we're not supposed to be. But we want to give from our overflow and not from an empty cup. And that is what we're going to be talking about, is how can we get to that place where we have so much extra to just give and serve with.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're doing, and
Sure.
get us started today. And we'll just do a little back and forth interview style.
Sure. So since this is about loving ourselves after a season of giving, let me talk about the season of giving. So I'm in my mid 50s. I've got 4 grown children. I've got 5 grandchildren. And I grew up with this idea that everything has to be at 100%. If I'm not giving at 100%, there's something not worthy about me. Like, I'm not worth loving. I'm not even worth paying attention to. Like, I'm not worthy of your connection if I'm not giving 100%. So here I am. First of all, I became a mom at 21. Not a mom of a baby, but a mom of a preteen. So here I am, a kid myself, looking back now, right? I look back now at pictures and I'm like, what was I thinking? Well, I wasn't thinking. I was just following God's leading. And I became a mom of 2 preteens at the age of 21 and immediately added 2 more kids by the time I was 23. So here I am, 23 years old, 4 kids, my husband, active duty military, deployed all the time. And I had this 100% idea. Well, if I'm going to be a mom, I'm going to be a mom at 100%. So I gave 100% to my family, which was great because that was my focus. My family was my focus. I wasn't doing things other than family. So it was easy to give 100% to my family. And then my kids, were growing and we decided to homeschool. Oh, awesome. I can give 100% to homeschooling, right? That's still family, right? Kind of. So here I am, 100% wife, 100% homemaker, 100% homeschooler. It was still manageable for me. And then when my youngest was a senior in high school, I went back into the workforce and I worked for my chiropractor. Wonderful job. I have nothing but amazing things to say about working there. But I gave 100%. So now I'm at 400%. 100% mom, 100% homemaker, 100% homeschooler, 100% worker. I was also a Boy Scout master, 100% Boy Scout 100% no matter where I was. And I burned out. I burned all the candles at all the ends. I had nothing left to give and ended up having an emotional and a physical breakdown. I started having crippling anxiety, depression. My digestion shut down. I couldn't process food. Like everything was giving up. My whole being, mind, body, and spirit was giving up.
Yeah.
That's the season of giving I came out of.
Yeah. You know what, my story, and I know we're going to get to some really juicy places. So I just want to share, like, my story it's so similar, so very similar. And I think that it's so important for us to realize that we think that that season of giving, that putting ourselves out there, that it's all an emotional burden. Even because, like, well, I'm eating and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And maybe you're even gaining weight like I did. And you're like, well, I'm not starving myself, but why am I so sick? And, but the thing is all of this high achieving, whether you're a high achiever or not, when you're just giving that much, when you're going that hard constantly, and you're never, I know you're going to get to this, when you're never restoring your body, it isn't just something that's in your head. It's not just a tiredness. It's not just my brain is too full because all the things I'm doing. Every one of those things is affecting your body on a cellular level, inside of your cells, in your mitochondria. And those mitochondria are the canary in the coal mine. They are the thing that shouts out for help first in your body. And they either produce energy or they produce inflammation. And that is why everything shut down for you. It was your brain and your gut and your body. And all of that is a major gut killer. And then we can't digest our food. Then we can't bring in all of the nutrients that keep our bodies working appropriately. Then we have dis-ease. So just want to point out from the science side of it, everybody, this is all connected. We can't have one or the other. It isn't just you're sacrificing your own personal comfort.
And everything Stephanie is saying is absolutely true. My body was completely inflamed. And it's because of that whole mind, body, spirit disconnect. Everything was suffering. Everything about me was suffering. And I had no idea what to do. I literally was doing everything everybody tells you to do. I was meditating, I was exercising, I was eating healthy, right? Healthy wasn't healthy for me, but I was eating healthy, trying to rest, everything, going to the doctor, getting tests, nothing was working. Everything was shutting down. Like, it was pretty miserable. But then in 2019, something absolutely magical happened. My husband had an opportunity to work overseas. And I said, when do we leave? So,
let's get out of here.
Literally, all of our kids were grown. They didn't need us. Kids always need you, but they didn't need us. I quit my job and we moved overseas. And then COVID hit. And we were, the whole island was shut down, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. And I was like, okay, well, let's figure some stuff out. And that is where I started my healing journey. And I do want to mention one of the things that was a big clue for me that I was completely disconnected, mind, body, and spirit, was I didn't feel things. And I'm not just talking emotions, right? I physically didn't feel things. I ran into a wall and broke my toe and said, I just broke my toe. And it took 6 months for my toe to heal. Why? Because there was no pain associated with it. So my brain didn't know to send white blood cells to that area for healing. So completely disconnected mind, body, and spirit, so much so that there was no pain sensation. I definitely feel things now because I'm reconnected. Mind, body, and spirit working together. All three parts have to work together.
Yeah,
All three parts.
I want to ask anybody, is there any part of you, you may not feel fully disconnected the way, Melissa's describing for herself. She was like really far. Um, but if you feel it all sometimes, and it's not a shameful thing to even admit it. If you feel like there's a part of you that's just disconnected, know that you're not alone. Let us know that that's the case. And, I know that I felt that way. In fact, my personal, the way I medicated my disconnectedness back when in 2014 and 2013 was a lot of wine and a lot of reading and hiding away from my family. I didn't have anything left over after giving all the percents to everything else. Got my kids into bed and I was like, yeah, mom is doing whatever. Yeah, that was mine.
I do want to acknowledge though that my ability to disconnect, that disconnect served me well for a very long time. It was a strength to be able to compartmentalize and disconnect until it wasn't.
Yeah.
When my husband was deployed in combat zones, to be able to compartmentalize and disconnect made it possible for me to raise my kids when he wasn't
there. To function as the caregiver. And
exactly when he lived in a different state because of his job, like he does right now. Being able to disconnect made it possible for me to survive raising kids, caring for kids, teenagers, raising teenagers alone,
until it didn't
serve me anymore. And then it was like a perfect storm of symptoms, just everything at one time came down on me and left me in that place of anxiety and depression and disconnect.
When we're in that place where we're in survival mode, oftentimes it's a big, huge red flag for our bodies. Like, hey, where in your life can you slow down? Where in your life can you take space? Where are you trying to overdo? Where might we need to ask for help? And I think that's another thing women are so not good at. We are so not good at asking for help, and it's okay to ask for help, whether it's, anybody listening. So how did you, what was that? So we know where you are. You are at the rock bottom. How did you break that cycle of overgiving and burnout and reconnect with your own voice?
Honestly, the very first thing I did, I was still working at my chiropractor, and I reached out to a therapist. I was like, I don't know what else to do. My medical doctor's not helping me. They put me on antidepressants, and I really didn't need them. Because working with the therapist, I learned something really, really critical about myself. I was taking on my husband's problems and making them my own. And that doesn't work. His problems are his problems. My problems are my problems.
No, and in fact, as I would say it, anybody who's worked with me or done some of my programs, what do I call that? It's your sphere of control. That is outside of your sphere of control. And the more we take on things that are outside of our sphere of control, the more anxiety and we can't, because our brain, we know we can't do anything about it. So now we're just worrying. It's like if I decided to suddenly, like, there are things happening in the world that I have zero control over. And if I let them take over, they're so overwhelming that my brain is going to have a panic attack.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect everything else, right? It's just going to compound everything. So you learned that you were taking on something outside of your sphere of control. It was about somebody you cared about, but you couldn't do anything about it.
Exactly. So that was the first thing, right? Realizing that this wasn't a mental issue, right? It was me trying to take control of his problems and make them my own. Again, I was 100% woman, right? But after realizing that that's what was going on, I was like, well, I don't need to be on antidepressants. This isn't traditional like mental depression. I wasn't lacking serotonin or anything. It was me trying to be 100% in my marriage for him, like 100% him and 100% me. Our minds can't handle that, just like
I
you
know.
said.
What does that put you up to, like 600, 700, 800%
Oh my
now?
gosh, yes, right. So that was the first thing. But then the second thing is when we moved overseas and COVID hit and we're stuck at home, right? We couldn't do anything. I was like, well, people have called me their life coach pretty much my whole life. People come to me and get advice. It's not advice that I do as a life coach, but that's kind of how we labeled it. And I said, well, I think I'm gonna bite the bullet, and I'm gonna go get my certification for life coaching. And one of the things about coaching, which I'm sure you know, Stephanie, is when you go to get your certification, you don't just learn things, you actually have to experience them. And through the certification process, I reemerged. I reemerged. I reconnected with who I was designed to be and like reconnected mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah. Looking in the mirror and going, oh, hi,
Oh,
Melissa. Nice to
there
meet
you are.
you.
Oh, there you are, Peter. Yes, exactly. If anybody knows what movie I'm quoting, props. Okay. But yeah, really just reconnecting with who I was designed to be from the very beginning, right? I believe that the moment you're conceived, there's a design. And then life happens, right? Life happens and we think we're who we're supposed to be. I become a certain thing because I have to be that thing. And I leave behind who I was designed to be and reconnecting with who I was designed to be. Remembering I'm this fun, exciting, kind of crazy person and enjoying it. Actually enjoying my life again. What is that? Like for the longest time, it was just do, go, 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 be.
Yeah. How many people listening have done the do, go, 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 be?
Yeah.
All right. How many have done that? And I want to just say, like, you can still serve and be a fantastic mother, be an amazing employee, be a wonderful friend, be a part of a gorgeous, beautiful community, and be whole and healed and calm in your nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
It is possible. I know that
Absolutely.
I didn't believe it at one point in time. I thought that if I wasn't worried, things weren't going to get done. I didn't trust myself to do what needed to be done unless I was angsting and worried and type A personality all over it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to call that, whatever. But and it got to the point where when things finally changed in my life and things slowed down and I couldn't think of anything that was wrong and it almost seemed too good to be true. I was sitting on a beach and it was still and it was my perfect place. And I was anxious. Couldn't think of a thing about it. I'd always been able to point to a reason I was anxious before. And at that moment, I said, oh my gosh, I'm anxious and I shouldn't be. Something's wrong with me. I must have a disorder. I must have generalized anxiety disorder because but this is the thing. My brain didn't know how to not be anxious. I had to learn that. I had to learn it and it's learnable. It's a skill.
I was
It
just
takes
working with I
practice.
was just working with a client today on this because her nervous system, exactly what you're talking about, her nervous system is used to being anxious.
And now that's the safe thing. It's the known thing that the brain is doing because
Exactly.
calm feels weird
Calm
and
is scary.
uncomfortable and it's scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have felt that every time you sit down to do nothing in stillness, that you get anxious and now you have to go and do something to the point where it's way past your bedtime and now you're falling into bed and now you're not getting the sleep that your body needs because you had to do things because you couldn't sit in quiet.
Yes. I was just going to
This
say
is
if
for you.
silence is a problem, there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because we should be able to sit in silence and enjoy our thoughts.
And how do we hear that still small voice?
If we can't sit in the silence. Yes.
we've identified the problem. There's a way out of it. It is possible. How do you recognize you're in it? But I never, ever, ever want to leave anybody feeling in that space like, okay, but this is me. And now I feel really
But now
like
what?
sad and scared. How do we build that self-love without guilt, shame, or the need to perform? The place that we're most that we keep falling into a pattern on, that's the place where we need the help. And it's okay to ask for help. And the thing is the thing that threatens our brain is when we're trying to just change it all at once. And you know what? We can learn to have peace and stillness. And it also can be the baby steps, just like I talk about with getting, our wellness together. It's the same thing. It's not going to be scary. And you're going to come out the other side of it going, wow. So tell us a little bit about how someone does that.
Sure. So the method that I've come up with, and it's actually the one that I've walked through myself, it's just called the peace restoration method, because the women that I work with are on the verge of a mental or physical breakdown, just like I was, and they cannot keep going like that anymore. I had a client who checked herself into the hospital on her birthday one year because she couldn't keep going anymore. And the whole time she was in the hospital, she was in the hospital for 3 days on the psych ward on a hold. And she was already on a physical health journey. She had changed the way that she was eating. She was eating whole foods, natural foods. She had really done a lot of work on her physical body. And the foods that they were giving her were full of chemicals and just terrible. All they wanted to do was put her on medications. She didn't want to be on any more medication. And she left the hospital feeling exactly like she did when she went in. And that's when she reached out to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who I work with. People who are on that, they're on the verge. I mean, we just can't keep going like that anymore. But I help them reconnect with who they were designed to be so that they can have that peace, that excitement about life again, that purpose that's theirs, not just the purpose to serve, but their purpose
Yeah.
in life. And the way I do that is just there's 6 pillars to the peace restoration method, and it's different for everyone. Yes, we touch on all of the pillars, but I work one-on-one with women because it's such a personal experience that it's got to be one-on-one. So that's what I do with people. I work one-on-one with them in a very intimate setting and help them reconnect with who they were designed to be so that they can have that purpose and joy and excitement about life again.
Absolutely. I want to say, you know, we were talking about this before the call, before our live tonight, and before we came on with everybody, is that sometimes it's the health that's keeping your mind from being able to get into a healthy place. And sometimes it's the mind that's keeping your health from being able to get into the healthy place. And sometimes you have to bounce back and forth and make some progress here and then some progress here and progress here and progress there. Sometimes it's one and then the other, or it's, but you know what? You can't do it wrong. And but if you find yourself trying to make really great changes in your life and you just keep hitting up against a pattern, this is, would you say, Melissa, this is sort of that signal that I am I am doing so much. I'm a doer. I'm not sure how to ditch or to delegate or defer or to balance or to, I feel like everything has to be me. And I don't feel like I know even who I am anymore. I don't know how to dream anymore. Um, you know, and there's a continuum. It's not all or nothing. It's a continuum. um, that may be an opportunity for you to say, you know what, let me try to just tackle this from another perspective for a little while so that I can get to a place for you when, I know that you had said your gut shut down, your health, so your physical health shut down, but you had to change something, you had to work on something before you were able to address that. I mean, how did that work for you? Was it one step forward here, one step forward there? Was it one thing, how did that look like for you? What do you invite other people, the people who are here, into? How do they know, and can they just have a conversation with you just to find out? Like,
So for me, it was really working on the mental part. I did one of my clients calls it mental gymnastics. There was a lot of mental gymnastics going on and figuring out, like, where in the world did this belief begin? Where did this belief begin that I have about myself that is preventing me from being me? So for me, it was working so much on the mental part before I could address the physical part. And I'm
yeah,
still addressing the physical part. That's
yeah,
going to go on for the rest of my life. And so is the mental stuff, right? But
yeah.
it's I had to do the mental work first. That was what I had to do.
Because that
Um,
was the big blocker. That was the log jam for you.
that was, oh my
And
gosh,
that's
it
what
was
because
such a
once we
jam.
identify that log jam, and that is so important to understand, because you just said I had to know who I am. If you don't know who you are, if you can't find you, if you don't even know what you want, how can you do good things for yourself? How can you practice self-love if you
Well,
don't know who you are?
and if I don't know who I am, right? And I can't, how do I even serve other people? How do I serve authentically if I don't even know who I am authentically?
Right. Do you mean sort of like serving others as a checklist item versus serving authentically with your heart and your feelings and your emotions,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Yes. Cause I can, yeah, sure, I can go out and serve, but that's going to leave me depleted. That's going to leave me exhausted. But if I'm serving aligned from my heart, that's going to give me energy because it's
Yeah.
part of who I am. And I have to know
So,
that. I have to know
yeah,
who I am.
yeah. And I mean, I hope that, again, there's this whole continuum that if you can think of, anybody listening, if you can think of a time where when you're in that place of service and you're receiving and giving and you're feeling, remembering what that feels like. Sometimes we allow that to happen when we're completely out of context of our everyday life, right? You might go to a retreat, you might go on a trip, you might find it in those places, but when you come back home and you're surrounded by your context, it all goes away and you're like, what the heck happened? I thought things, but that's not a bad thing, because now you kind of have a connection. You at least know and have experienced the goal.
Right.
And I think, Melissa, what I believe that you can do through your peace restoration method is you can help people create the path to that peace, that place, in a way
Exactly.
doable. And
Yeah, and I know not everybody can move to a tropical island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean to find themselves.
I
I do
almost
really,
commented that in the middle. I was like, yeah, and please tell me that your method doesn't
yeah,
require me to go to Guam.
I really do know that not everybody has that opportunity. And honestly, COVID was the opportunity for me. COVID was not a bad thing. That was the space that allowed me to heal. And for the first time in my life, I miss somewhere that I've lived. We moved all the time as kids. I never missed anywhere that we lived. We moved all the time when my husband was in the military. I never missed anyone or any place. But I miss Guam because that is where my healing journey began. And I reconnected with being able to feel emotions, being able to feel my body again. And that's where it all started. And I actually I long to go back. And I've never had that before.
All
So
right.
this is healing. This is what healing looks like, right? That longing, that desire, that deep soul desire for things that we just want now, that we never knew we even wanted before.
Healing happens when we're not in a stressed state. Healing doesn't
Absolutely.
happen under stress. From a physiological standpoint, in the sympathetic nervous system, we don't heal. We
Correct.
survive. We don't
Correct.
heal. We heal in the parasympathetic. We heal when oxytocin is in charge, not cortisol. Where does oxytocin come from? From that connection, from that community, from a feeling of safety. So
Yep.
if you are constantly, constantly feeling stressed, you're taking your body out of that healing mode. And there's a lot of ways that we stress. We don't just stress emotionally. We don't just stress from an occupational perspective, but we can stress physically. We can overextend ourselves. We can get an illness. There's so many things. All of it
I
is
can
stress.
eat foods that are not good for me, and that stresses
And
my
that
body.
causes stress on the body.
Yes.
That is a physical stress. There are toxins in the environment that can cause physical stress on your body. And I mean, we can't walk around and like the boy on the bubble, protecting ourselves from everything. But there are things that we can do that allow our bodies to get into that healing state. And there are ways we can nourish our body and move our body in healing ways that foster all of that healing so that we heal faster than we get harmed. To start seeing what is percolating in your brain, what is coming up for you, and don't be afraid to feel it. Feeling's good.
We have to feel to be able to heal. Going back to my broken toe thing, 6 months. 6 months. Because there was no feeling. That's a physical example of we have to feel to heal. But we also have to feel our emotions. Our emotions were designed to help us experience life. And if we shut them off, you don't just get to choose which emotions you want to feel. I don't get to say, I don't want anger and shame and frustration. I only want joy and excitement. If I shut one off, I shut them all off.
And guess what? Our feelings are data. I'm sorry. I'm always going to be the scientist. I know it's a feeling moment and I have lots and lots of feels, but emotions are data. They are part of, we need them.
Yes.
We need them.
Yes, we absolutely do to experience this life. Thanks so much for spending a little time with me today on the Lemon Balm Coaching Podcast. I hope you're walking away with something that sparks joy, hope, or a fresh perspective for your journey. If you loved today's episode, let's keep the conversation going. You can find more inspiration, coaching tips, and resources over at my website, lemonbalmcoaching.com. Don't forget to follow me on social media for encouragement and updates, and you'll find me on Instagram and Facebook at Lemon Balm Coaching. And hey, if you're looking for a supportive, uplifting community of amazing women just like you, come join us in the Reignite Your Flame Facebook group. It's a safe, welcoming space where we share, grow, and cheer each other on. And you can find the link on my website or just search for Reignite Your Flame on Facebook. Remember, honey, just be yourself. The world needs what only you have to offer. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.